There are 15 items sitting on a Costco shelf right now that, stored correctly, will still be edible in 30 years. Not past the date. Not probably still okay. Edible. The science is settled on this one. The military knows. Mormon food storage manuals from the 1970s cover most of them. Your grandmother's pantry probably had 8 of them. The food industry prints expiration dates for one reason: liability, not safety. And every single one of these items sits on a Costco shelf with the Kirkland Signature label on it for a fraction of what specialty prepper companies charge for the exact same chemistry and fancier packaging. Today, I'm going to give you all 15. The actual shelf life of each, the storage condition that matters, and the one mistake that destroys all of them if you get it wrong. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will know exactly which 15 items to put in your basement, your closet, or under your bed, and forget about them. They will be there in 2 years, in 10 years, in 30 years, in some cases longer than that. Costco is one of the few major retailers in America that still sells these foods in serious quantities at serious prices. The Kirkland Signature label is, in many cases, the same product made in the same facility as the premium brands sitting next to it on the shelf. The difference is just the markup. Before we get into the list, the link in the description points to the documentation we use as our reference for long-term food storage. Complete shelf life data, the storage protocol for each food family, and the chemistries behind why these items survive decades when most do not. You can come back to it after the video. Now let's begin. Number 1, Kirkland Signature honey. I'm starting with the most important one and probably the most underestimated. Honey does not spoil. Period. Archaeologists have found honey in Egyptian tombs that is over 3,000 years old and still chemically edible. The reason is simple. Honey has a water content below 18%. Bacteria cannot survive in that environment. Yeast cannot grow in it. The natural acidity from gluconic acid adds a second layer of protection. Costco sells Kirkland Signature pure raw honey in 3-pound containers. Store it sealed at room temperature, away from direct light, and it sits there forever. It may crystallize over the years. That is not spoilage. Warm the jar gently in hot water and it returns to liquid. 1 container can sit in your pantry for the rest of your life. Number 2, Kirkland Signature pure maple syrup. This one comes with one condition you have to understand. Sealed and unopened, it lasts indefinitely. The combination of high sugar content above 60% and the boiling process during production destroys virtually all microbial life. Once you open the bottle, it goes in the refrigerator, where it lasts about a year. But here is what matters for your stockpile. The unopened bottles can sit in your basement for 20 years and be perfectly fine. Costco sells Kirkland Signature organic pure maple syrup in 33-ounce bottles for around $15. That is roughly half the supermarket price for a product that, sealed in glass, will outlive your refrigerator. Let me tell you a quick story. Daniel is 36, lives in Brooklyn, New York, software engineer at a fintech company. Engaged, no kids, 2-bedroom apartment in Park Slope. His father lives in Queens and has Parkinson's. Daniel visits twice a week. When Daniel was 22, Hurricane Sandy hit. He remembers the lower half of Manhattan dark for days. He remembers his neighbors charging phones at the only deli with a generator. He thought he understood emergencies. March 2020. The shelves at his Brooklyn supermarket went empty for 3 weeks. Not for one day. 3 weeks, toilet paper, beans, specific medications. The supply chain that everyone in his neighborhood took for granted simply stopped. His apartment was 800 square feet. He had room for nothing. A coworker, also a Sandy survivor, gave him the documentation about a year later. Daniel read the section on shelf-stable foods first. The documentation was honest. Apartment dwellers cannot store like homesteaders. The math doesn't work. What apartment dwellers can do is build a different kind of system. Vacuum-sealed long-term staples in flat containers under the bed. Rice, beans, salt, sugar, honey, vinegar. All bought at Costco, all Kirkland Signature. Roughly $200 total for what would feed 2 people for 40 days. A small power station for critical electronics. A relationship with 2 people in the building who have complementary supplies. A simple plan to get to his father in Queens if the bridges close. Today, April 2026, Daniel has roughly 40 days of food in 800 square feet, plus water for 2 weeks. He's not a homesteader. He's a Brooklyn software engineer whose apartment is configured to function for 40 days without a supermarket. The complete documentation costs less than what Daniel was paying for delivery during the worst week of March 2020. 7 days money-back guarantee. Link in the description. When the grid fails, knowledge doesn't. Back to the video. Continuing. Same documentation, same link in the description. 7 days money-back guarantee. Now back to the list. Number 3, Kirkland Signature Pure Vanilla Extract. Pure vanilla extract is, by federal law, at least 35% alcohol by volume. That alcohol content is what preserves it. Sealed and unopened bottle lasts indefinitely. Even an open bottle, kept in a dark cabinet, lasts decades. Many bakers actually argue the flavor improves with age, similar to bourbon. Costco sells Kirkland Signature pure vanilla extract in 16-ounce bottles. Compare that to the tiny supermarket bottles selling for the same price. The math is obvious. Buy two, use one, store the other. Number 4, Kirkland Signature Pink Himalayan Salt. Salt is a mineral. It does not have an expiration date in any meaningful sense. The only thing that ages salt is moisture absorption, and that is purely cosmetic. Costco sells Kirkland Signature Pink Himalayan Salt in 5-pound containers. Store it in a sealed jar in a dry place. It will outlast you, your children, and your grandchildren. Salt has been preserving food for 10,000 years. It does not need preserving itself. The real reason to buy this version is that it costs roughly the same per pound as iodized table salt and stores identically. Number 5, Kirkland Signature Distilled White Vinegar. Vinegar is essentially diluted acetic acid in water. Acetic acid is a natural preservative. Sealed and stored at room temperature, white vinegar lasts indefinitely. It may darken slightly over the years. That is not spoilage. The acidity that makes it useful for cooking, cleaning, pickling, and disinfecting does not weaken with time. Costco sells Kirkland Signature distilled white vinegar in 2-gallon jugs. One jug serves a household for years and survives in the back of a closet for as long as you keep it. Number 6, Kirkland Signature Apple Cider Vinegar. Same chemistry as white vinegar. The acetic acid prevents microbial growth. Sealed, indefinite shelf life. The bonus is that apple cider vinegar carries additional traditional uses. Wound cleaning, minor digestive aid, hair rinse. The mother, that cloudy strand at the bottom of unfiltered varieties, is not spoilage. It is a fermented bacteria culture and is harmless. Costco sells Kirkland Signature Organic Apple Cider Vinegar in 1-gallon bottles for around $8. Half the supermarket price for double the volume. Number 7, Kirkland Signature Soy Sauce. Soy sauce is a fermented product with a salt content above 15%. That salt level prevents virtually all microbial activity. Sealed, an unopened bottle of quality soy sauce lasts at least 3 years, past the printed date, and laboratory testing has shown 10 or more years of stability in unopened bottles. Once opened, refrigerate and use within 2 years. Costco sells Kirkland Signature Organic Soy Sauce in 2 bottle packs. Cheap insurance for any pantry. Number 8, Kirkland Signature Long Grain White Rice. Now we are talking serious stockpile chemistry. White rice, properly stored, lasts 30 years or longer. The Mormon Church has tested rice stored in their food storage facilities for decades and confirmed nutritional and caloric stability. The key word here is white. Brown rice contains oils in the bran layer that go rancid in 2 years. White rice has been milled to remove those oils. Store white rice in a Mylar bag with an oxygen absorber, inside a food-grade bucket, in a cool, dark place, and you have a base food source that outlasts most people's mortgages. Costco sells Kirkland Signature long grain white rice in 50-pound bags for under $30. That is enough rice to feed 2 adults for over a year. Number 9, Kirkland Signature granulated sugar. Sugar is hygroscopic, meaning it absorbs moisture from the air. That is the only thing that affects it. Stored in an airtight container in a dry place, granulated white sugar lasts indefinitely. It may clump if exposed to humidity. That is not spoilage. Break up the clumps and use it normally. Costco sells Kirkland Signature Pure Cane Sugar in 25-pound bags. The sugar in those bags will be chemically identical 50 years from now. Number 10, Kirkland Signature American Vodka. Distilled spirits at 40% alcohol or higher do not spoil. The alcohol content prevents all microbial growth and inhibits oxidation enough that the product remains stable for decades. An unopened bottle of vodka lasts indefinitely. An opened bottle lasts decades, with only minor flavor changes from oxidation. Costco sells Kirkland Signature American Vodka in 1.75-liter bottles for under $20. The same product sold under premium labels often costs 3 times that. The same distillery in some cases. Beyond drinking, vodka also serves as a disinfectant, a tincture base, and a barter item in long-term scenarios. Number 11, Kirkland Signature Tennessee Bourbon. Same chemistry as the vodka. 40% alcohol or higher equals indefinite shelf life. Bourbon has the additional advantage of being barrel-aged, so the flavor profile actually develops further during long-term storage in glass. The Kirkland Signature Bourbon is reportedly produced by one of the major Tennessee distilleries. At around $20 for a 1.75-liter bottle, it is one of the better dollar per ounce values for hard liquor anywhere in retail. Number 12, Kirkland Signature Solid White Albacore Tuna. The printed expiration date on canned tuna is usually 4 to 5 years from the canning date. The actual safe consumption window for properly stored cans is significantly longer. A USDA test conducted on canned foods recovered from the Steamboat Bertrand, sunk in the Missouri River in 1865 and recovered over 100 years later, found the canned products were still microbiologically safe. The flavor and texture had degraded, the safety had not. Costco sells Kirkland Signature solid white albacore tuna in cases of 12 cans. The white albacore variety is significantly higher protein density than the chunk light most supermarkets stock. Number 13. Kirkland Signature freeze-dried instant coffee. Freeze-dried coffee, sealed in a glass jar with no oxygen exposure, lasts at least 20 years with minimal flavor degradation. The freeze-drying process removes essentially all moisture, which is the variable that destroys roasted coffee. Once you open the jar, the clock starts. Sealed, no clock. Costco sells Kirkland Signature Freeze dried instant coffee in large 12-ounce jars. Buy 3. Open 1. The other 2 are your post-crisis caffeine supply. Number 14. Kirkland Signature non-fat dry milk. Powdered milk properly packaged lasts up to 25 years. Mormon food storage research has documented this repeatedly across multiple decades of stored samples. The fat content matters here. Non-fat dry milk lasts longest because there's no fat present to go rancid. Whole milk powder lasts about half as long. For long-term storage, always choose non-fat. Costco sells Kirkland Signature non-fat dry milk in 5-pound bags, sealed in Mylar with an oxygen absorber. You have calcium and protein supply for an entire generation. Number 15. Kirkland Signature dried pinto beans. Dried beans, like white rice, last 30 years or longer when stored properly. The starch and protein structures are chemically stable in dry conditions. The only issue with very old beans is that they take much longer to rehydrate, sometimes requiring overnight soaking. They become tough, but not unsafe. The trick is to pressure cook aged beans rather than boil them. Costco sells Kirkland Signature dried pinto beans in 25-pound bags. Combined with the rice, you have a complete protein supply that costs less per calorie than virtually any other food on the planet. That is the list, 15 items. Total cost at Costco, depending on package size and which spirits you buy, between $200 and $300. Total shelf life, when stored correctly, between 15 and 40 years for most of them, and indefinite for several. Now let me be honest about what this list does not do. It does not give you a balanced diet. It does not give you fresh vegetables or fresh fruit. It does not give you variety. What it gives you is a foundational caloric and nutritional base that does not require rotation, does not require refrigeration, does not require any technology to access. The real preppers, the ones who have been doing this for decades, layer this base with rotated stocks of canned vegetables, dehydrated fruits, and frozen proteins. The base does not move. The rotation moves around the base. That is the system. Not panic buying before a hurricane, not specialty bucket kits at 4 times the price. A foundation that quietly sits there year after year until you need it, or ideally, until you never need it. One mistake destroys most of this: moisture. Every single item on this list, with the exception of the vinegars and the alcohols, is degraded or destroyed by moisture. Plastic supermarket bags are not enough. Cardboard is not enough. The original packaging from Costco is generally not enough for 30-year storage. You need Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, sealed inside food-grade 5-gallon buckets with rubber gasket lids, stored in a cool, dry place below 70 degrees. The full protocol, with the exact products and the step-by-step packaging method, is in the documentation. I have pinned a comment below this video with 3 additional Kirkland items I could not fit into this list. They were on my original outline, but had to be cut for time. The pinned comment also has the link to the full documentation with the complete 72-item shelf stable food list, the rotation calendar, and the storage protocol. Read it. A final thought before we close. The question is not whether you should stockpile these 15 items. The question is why anyone would not. The total investment is under $300. The total shelf life is multiple decades. The storage footprint with proper packaging is roughly the size of a small closet. There is no reasonable risk profile in which this is not worth doing. Worst case scenario, nothing happens, and over the next 20 years, you slowly use the items in your normal cooking and save money. Best case scenario, something happens, and you're not standing in a parking lot at midnight, fighting over the last case of bottled water, 3 hours before the storm makes landfall. If this kind of analysis is what you came for, subscribe. We publish 2 videos a week on long-term preparedness, food storage, off-grid systems, and the documentation behind every recommendation we make. The next video covers the 11 Costco items that look shelf-stable on the package, but actually expire faster than the supermarket equivalent. You will want to know which ones. When the grid fails, knowledge doesn't.